Hey, it's Matt with GolfCartingTV and Golf Karting Magazine. I am here today with Jared Wright with MODZ, and I am about to show you what I just experienced walking around this whole place. But first, Jared, thanks for having us out here today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about just kind of the background and the story of you and MODZ and how you got to where you got.
It started back in February of 2010 is when Aaron Gouldie, the owner, had the forethought of selling products online. So he first started selling seat kits on eBay. He was also wanting to build a new website, but didn't have anybody. I was in between what I was doing, and I decided, hey, I can come in, upload product, not a problem, knew how to do all that kind of stuff, and that was in July of 2010. I came from real estate appraisal industry. So I knew nothing about golf carts other than I rode one when I went and played around at golf. So it was very difficult learning the lingo, learning all the parts, learning what you can do to a golf cart. We were drop shipping a lot with several of our suppliers. Aaron realized quickly that if we could bring some of those products in that customers are buying a lot of, we started out with small parts really. We decided that we could use the post office, and in fact, I remember it was, if it fits, it ships, was a big slogan by the post office back then. So we would bring in small parts, and we realized we could make more profit that way. So he worked on going to see the vendors, our suppliers, to get better rates for us. We started bringing more in, stocking them on the shelves, shipping them out, more profit. And then that's when he just kind of kept going with it and realized, now we can manufacture our own products. MODZ came about when he really had this idea of ride mods. It's modifications for your golf cart. That was when it really took off, was probably 2018, 2019 for the MODZ name, when we came out with certain stuff.
And then I assume that then led into COVID, obviously, and then that was probably a trajectory, I would assume.
COVID was a very interesting time for us, where we thought it was going to be extremely slow. It was booming. I mean, it just took off. But if you think about it, everybody was home. They wanted to pass the time, so they got golf carts, started to decorate them, as I call it, or modify them. And you know, we couldn't keep product in stock all the time. We were running out of stock. But if we had been able to plan for it better, if we knew, obviously, hindsight's 2020, we would have killed it more than we did. But COVID was a very tough yet prosperous time for us.
So you've been doing this for 16 or so years almost. What's your favorite part about doing what you're doing here?
We hire the best people there are, and Aaron makes it fun for people to come in. We take care of our own. He's always had the idea of, you take care of your people, they're going to take care of you. That's what's happened 16 years later.
All right, I'm now here in the upholstery department with JR and with Bill. Thanks, guys, for having me hang around here today. So tell me a little bit about your background and how in the world you got into this side of things. JR, why don't you start?
My background, I've been in the automotive upholstery trade for going on 20 years now, and I spent a lot of time designing a lot of cool stuff for cars, boats, and all that stuff.
My background has been more automotive based in hard parts like suspension and things like that, but kind of the nuts and bolts of planning and purchasing and cost accounting and all those kind of things that kind of go on in the back office to make things run. Gotcha. And I allow him to kind of focus on the actual design and the product. We spend a lot of time talking about designs and future and continuing improvement and all that kind of stuff.
Over the years, I kind of learned, when I design something, I always like to design something that's very hard to replicate, but I also have to take in consideration the skill of every sewer that I have in the crew. So I kind of tone it down a little bit, but then I also have some very skilled sewers here that can do what I'm used to designing. So there's a mix of different design aspects, from something that's got easier radius to sew, and also other points that need to be exact or the cover will be off.
Yeah. Bill, how do you take that design and make sure that it's producible, affordable, profitable, things like that?
Yeah, I look at all the numbers. We talk about them all the time. Sometimes I have to bring him back to simplicity because his nature is to make it super intricate and super cool. And we bounce a lot of stuff around each other. What's really cool about this relationship, I'm really good at the stuff he's not as good at, and he's really good at the stuff I'm not as good at. Yeah. So it's a good balance. We make a great team. When we first started, the industry or the upholstery segment was really underserved. So it was ripe. And we started off with a very low expectation, and we've been trying to catch up for 5 years. Yeah. So now we're getting the best form of flattery. We're getting copied a lot now, but they don't seem to pull it off quite that well. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve, make sure that we're the leaders, and let them copy our old stuff. We're going to do new stuff.
Yeah. How do you balance the design with the comfort and feel of a seat?
I guess for me, the first thing I do is I'll sketch. If I'm building a new cover or seat, I'll sketch something just to jot down a couple ideas that I have, and then once I have a rendering of what I think the seat should look like, I'll then just start cutting foam, shaping some foam, laying out a couple French seams, single top stitch, just to see what actually is going to fit and flow the seat a lot better, along with the curves on the golf cart. I also take that in consideration. I look at that as I'm designing. If I have more sharp curves, I'll tend to add a bit more radiuses to the cover, the cover then ties in with the look of the golf cart.
Some of the recent imported carts have some pretty nice seat structures, but the look of the material is just obviously imported. Yeah. So we take an otherwise good cushion and do a really high-end cover that just totally transforms the look of the seat and the cart. We're always achieving the high end, and generally kind of our formula is to have the higher end at the same price as the lower end. So we are cost effective and cost conscious, but we don't want to build cheap stuff that anybody can knock off. I think one of the keys too is the fact that we utilize modern equipment for some really repeatable stuff. Like for instance, the pieces that are cut out are digitized and cut out by a CNC cutter. And then for the pattern sewing and stuff like that, it's a CNC sewing machine that does those. But the assembly of the seat cover or the seat is by hand, by craftspeople. So it's a balance of technology and craftsmanship.
So I'm here with Colin and Chris now. These guys are in the product development innovation area of the business here, and great to have you guys. I guess thanks for having me here.
Yeah,
I had a chance to look around and see what you guys are doing back there, which is pretty cool.
So Aaron came to me about, I want to say 2 years ago, with an idea of he wanted the Yeti of windshields, basically. Just the most high-end, badass, if we can say that,
You could say
golf cart windshield on the market. And so he came to me with an idea, and I kind of had to turn it into what it is today. So that became product development, R&D, design, figuring out how to actually bend, because we are cold forming polycarbonate. So normally, traditionally, windshields are made out of acrylic, and you have to heat bend them. It's very time consuming, a lot of equipment needed,
Big machines, I
big
think,
machines,
yeah.
and the failure rate's pretty high, and just the windshields don't last. And so we developed our own process here with cold bending. So we use a brake press and we cold form it, and so we kind of developed that process, created an assembly line for them so we can develop here in the States. We're not outsourcing, so we're bringing more manufacturing to America, trying to build up that business again.
Yeah. Chris, what's your role in kind of making all this stuff happen?
So I more so kind of run the production floor. So kind of managing the operators, training the operators, and making sure that it all flows through the process smoothly.
Right.
But my background is basically same as Colin's. So I have a product design background. But I've always worked in like fabrication and manufacturing, so I've always had a lot of hands-on experience with machinery and fabrication and the like. So that's more or less my role.
Thinking about the process, there's one thing in developing the product, but then how you do that is probably a big part.
Yeah, and having, I guess, that knowledge of design too definitely helps with it as far as like the manufacturing part of it. Because, aside of just kind of seeing through the process, there's a lot of like cam work involved. So, I mean, I really got to work close with Colin, especially on his designs, because, he's working on a design, and a lot of times I got to have input, on whether or not, okay, well, you have this certain form, can you make it, right? So, because you can dream up any idea in your head, but when it comes to it, can it be made?
Right.
Can it be manufactured? So you always have those limitations that you work with in manufacturing. So.
And what about as you're developing this thing? Obviously, the machinery that's in there is pretty intense and probably pretty specific to exactly what you guys have to make. So what went into that process as far as
a lot of R&D, a lot of trial and error, a lot of late nights trying to figure stuff out, and it's the little details that you kind of forget about and the things that make the product stand out, just the quality of the cut, quality of bending. There was ways that we could have kind of gotten by, but we weren't happy with it. So we, stressed over it and got it perfected. So definitely just working with Chris back and forth, I have this idea, what are my limitations, or how do we make this bend better or more consistent? Everybody here is a QCer in the sense that anybody on the line, if they see something, they call it out and bring it to my attention or set it aside as a defect. So with the most eyes you can get on it as possible, and training your guys to know what to look for is critical.
Yeah. All right, so now I'm here in the studio with Matt. We're going to talk about the new MODZ battery, lithium battery that has come out. Matt, great to be here. Want to learn all about this stuff. This is cool. I saw it at the PGA show, and why don't you give me the rundown of why a battery and why
we're excited for this product because it's like the batteries, we wanted to basically make our mark in the world of the batteries here, and I think we're going to do it. We have the 175s and we have the 105s, and we have done a lot of research in order to try to give the customer their best battery.
Right.
And we've paired with EKT, and they've been in the battery business for over 20 years, and they've been like the experts in the forklift industry. And those forklifts are actually all automated, so they go 24/7. So these batteries, the technology has been stress tested, and we're bringing it to the golf cart world.
It's meant to be simple install across the board, no matter what model basically of cart you've got.
And that's why we have the different models, the different sizes here, is because some of them fit a little bit better in different carts.
Right.
And luckily we have that even tested also, so we know exactly what one works best for the customer.
Right. So one of the things I talked to Aaron about at the PGA show was the whole connection to an app and its ability to kind of talk to it, manage it, things like that. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so our app, this one's completely ongoing, and we're making so many adjustments as it goes. But yeah, we have it very easy to just connect via Bluetooth, and it will just, when you end up seeing it, it'll just pop up. You just put in the information of your cart, and then we basically even will have the firmware connect us, say for example, the Donagos, where we'll connect directly to your monitor up front on your golf cart.
Got it.
So where we have scheduled charging, where if you have say at like between 2 and 4 a.m., it's a lot cheaper electricity bill, you can actually schedule it to charge at that time. And even if you're, say, gone on vacation, you can have it charge like once a week for a full charge at any time, so you don't have to worry about that at all.
Right.
And that's a feature that we love to add to this one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, I know you talked about EKT as the back-end brand or manufacturer on this. Tell me what makes this different than all the other batteries.
So we have the blade cells that EKT end up doing, and these blade cells, they basically distribute the heat within the cells a lot better, where it's going to be a lot less stress in the long run. And that's why we end up going with our lifetime warranty on these things, because we're like, okay, hey, we know that this technology is pretty good, it's going to last a while. And that's a huge one for us.
That is a big deal. Yeah, the lifetime warranty is a big piece. What's the future for where this is headed? I know you talked about some of the other innovations and things like that you're working on.
Yeah, I can't quite say everything there, but our process is we're going to make it as easy as possible for anyone to install our batteries, and that's the challenge that we're going to try to take and show everybody what we can do,
Yeah.
and that's where we're going to go.
Got
It's
it.
just
I
make it as
understand.
easy as possible.
Yeah.
So it was like just that's kind of just a taste of
Right.
everything else that we're going to be doing.
Right.
So
Well, that's awesome. It's got a great product. Obviously, it's just coming hitting the market. So excited to see.
yeah,
where
yeah,
it
yeah,
goes.
yeah. We're excited to bring more innovation
Yeah.
to the batteries where we can.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me out.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was awesome, Matt.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much for coming.
So we are here now with Mark. He is kind of the man of the logistics with all this stuff. So tell me, I mean, we're in this warehouse. We're outside of Austin, Texas. Tell me a little bit about the size and the scope of what we have here, and then I don't know how many. Like, I know you've got hundreds of tires,
Yeah.
and tens of wheels,
Hundreds, tires,
yeah.
wheels, everything. You
Yeah.
know, we kind of do it all. Yeah, so I mean, the warehouse here, I believe, is around 65,000 square feet. So we mainly house here our tire and wheel assemblies. We do all the production in-house for OEM accounts all the way to a retail side of things. We carry all various sizes in our wheels and tires. I mean, we were the first one to release a 16-inch wheel along with a 15 by 10.
Yeah.
So we're kind of pushing the envelope, you know, each and every year with new product and trying to get things into people's hands that
Right.
nobody else has.
So what's the biggest challenge when you come into this place and you got all the parts and pieces that are
Yeah.
moving? What do you have to work with to make all that happen?
I would
in
say
right
the
way?
hardest thing is just making sure that all the detail is paid attention to, you know, with so many moving parts between our small parts operation and then all the way up to our OEM side of things. You know, scheduling is a big thing. You know, when dealers are ordering product or even a retail customer's ordering product, they want it in a timely manner. So
Right.
trying to balance all that and, you know, the chaos of what's in here is tough sometimes, but,
Yeah.
you know, we do really well at ensuring that we get product into our customers' hands.
Your role in day to day, and you know, what do you do to make things run like a
Get good oil
well-oiled
machine.
engine? Yeah.
Well, I trust in the people that I have working for me. You know, that's kind of something that I was taught through the owner is, you know, put people in places where they can make everything flow properly. So, you know, I put a lot of trust in my guys out here in the warehouse and plus my internal staff as well. So
Yeah.
it's mainly just believing in the people that you're putting in charge and allowing them to understand their roles and trying
Right.
to do your best to continue to manage that as well as possible.
And I think that's, from what I've seen as an outsider, I think that's what makes MODZ stand out a lot, is that whole, you may not say it necessarily out to the world, but what I've seen it, you say it, and others that have said it while I've been here, is that focus on the people.
Yeah.
If you've got good people and you take care of your people, then ultimately it ends up in a good product. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, and that's something the owner has done really well is he's instilled in everyone that's worked here. You know, I've been here almost 9 years now. Jared's been here since the start of things.
Yeah.
So I've seen it from the small fish that it started when we had 6, 7 employees all the way up to being in this warehouse now, getting ready for a stage 2 coming here soon, just adding to it. But
Yeah.
he put that into everybody that works here, and that's why we're still long-term employees, and we believe in the vision and his what he's laid out, the foundation for everyone to kind of grow together. So it's been an amazing run. That's sure.
awesome. Well, I've been able to tour everything today, so I've seen all the stuff. You're my last stop of the day. Definitely impressed with how everything rolls. The people certainly. I think the process of things are orderly and clean, and even back here in the warehouse, but also up in the front of the office. I mean, it's just. I think you guys have done a good job of bringing all that together. Well, I really appreciate it, Mark.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me
man.
out. This
Yeah.
has been fantastic. Very
Absolutely.
impressed with everything.
Glad you got to be here, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate it very
Thanks.
much. Thank you.